late night, they ain't getting no rest. Work so hard, people think I'm obsessed. Cream at the crop, won't settle for no less. Headed to the top, arena so focused. Yeah, gorilla of the jungle, I've been beating on my chest. I learned from the struggle, it was all just a test.
Hey guys, and welcome back. So I have been away for the last few days, not really making any videos, but still keeping up to date on the markets. Basically with just all of the war news kind of going on, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility in the markets. We're seeing a lot of recoveries right now, so kind of getting better news than worse news. There is still that kind of worry on the table. Things can always re-escalate. So basically what we've done is we kind of got stopped out of a lot of our altcoins. Those kind of got hit pretty hard in this dump. So we're going to just update Bitcoin. We're going to look at Ethereum, and we'll look at a couple of the altcoin indexes. But pretty much I just kind of got rid of those altcoins at either break even. So most of them had stop losses at break even. That's always good practice when you get into these assets and they move up 25-30% plus to put that stop loss at break even to protect yourself from that downside. And I don't even really have that much conviction in altcoins right now. I do think they could keep going lower. I'll kind of take a look at some of those indexes to show you my thoughts on that as well. You know, I don't think alt season is right around the corner. You know, Bitcoin dominance isn't showing it. Bitcoin's still capturing the majority of the liquidity, and I just want to preserve my capital for different opportunities. So we've been doing really well in the stock market lately. I kind of want to hope to continue that streak and really add to some of our higher conviction plays, especially if we do get some more substantial retracements. But we're going to jump over here to the Bitcoin chart and just take a look at what's going on. So we're kind of just in this range here. I'll zoom in a little bit. What we can see, I've marked the yellow line as kind of the broad range. You can see acting as previous resistance through here. We'll just draw that a little bit closer. So yeah, acting as resistance, and then coming here acting as support. And we've kind of got the upper bands acting as resistance, as well as this higher limit right here on the kind of more extreme end of things, right on those highs, that current all-time high. And we've also got this support here kind of dating back over here, acted as resistance all through here, support in through here, and potential support right here. You can also see it's right on that 200-day moving average. So we always look for confluence of these levels. They're really strong support levels. If we come down to this range, I'm going to be a buyer. That's what I'm looking for in Bitcoin. We can also kind of see that we're just in this downwards consolidation pattern. So just this channel here almost, you can kind of see. We also have it coming from about this point, I think, here. Yeah, so we have this kind of almost a bit of a downwards parallel channel. Not a bearish pattern in its sense. It does mean we are downtrending, but it did extend quite a bit as well. So not uncommon to see that after such a big move. If we flip to the higher time frame, we can see we've kind of gone in these periods in the past. So look at this move right here, pumped up, and then we just had this sideways or downwards consolidation, eventually breaking out and going to new highs. Same thing here. It's just similar patterns here. We actually played this move here. What we did is we didn't buy during the actual during the downtrend, excuse me. So kind of playing it a little bit different right now. We're going to look to actually take more swing positions at the lows of this range. So that's what I talked about, kind of buying, adding to my position around 96,000. You know, maybe looking to hold those positions for a couple weeks, maybe months. We'll see kind of how the market goes. Potentially either on leverage or look to buy a Bitcoin ETF within a tax-free savings account. If I do that, I'm going to have to hold it for a little bit longer. But that's all right. You know, I'm happy with kind of a medium-term position in a Bitcoin ETF. The tax incentives are definitely worth it, in my opinion. But what we're going to look for is we're going to wait for this downtrend to kind of play itself out. So we can also see when we look at this on a higher time frame, this just looks like a bull flag to me. So we've got the bullish flagpole here where we just rocketed up, and now we're just in this consolidation. But this is a technical downtrend right now. When we're looking at the daily chart, we've got the lower low, lower high, lower low. So technical downtrend on the low time frame, but we're still in that uptrend on the high time frame. When we look at the weekly chart, you can see that we still have just maintained these lows. We could even come down a decent bit on the weekly and still maintain that uptrend technical structure. So we could come down here, retest these levels. This is where I'd look to kind of be a heavier buyer of Bitcoin, kind of retesting support in through here. So that is always a potential. It's not my base case right now. We're looking pretty bullish here, I do think. But I kind of just wanted to highlight over here how we played this. We waited for the daily downtrend to kind of change. So right through here, we saw that we put in a higher low. We saw that we started uptrending on the daily here. We got above our 50-day moving average. We saw our low time frame moving averages, so our 8-day and our 21-day breaking above the 50-day. So that's another bullish sign on the low time frame. Price action uptrending, getting above our key moving averages. Right over here, this was the final confirmation right in through here. When we broke out, we got above all the moving averages. We had our bullish cross of the 50-day and the 200-day. Price was above it in that uptrending price action structure. We got in here on the breakout retest, and we were able to ride that up to new highs. So looking for a kind of similar potential option over here, and looking to use some of the cash that we previously took off the table. It was pretty opportunistic. We did manage to take some profits on Bitcoin as well. I shared it in Telegram. So the price was about 110,700, and took more profits off the table, and then we were able to actually build that cash position even higher. So we've built larger positions throughout this current kind of few months of these highs and lows in the markets, and we've also increased our cash position. So really taking advantage of the different opportunities and looking to continue doing that. That being said, we're going to take a look at some of the lower time frames here on Bitcoin. We can see that we're in this downwards consolidation, but we're breaking out above those moving averages. They're starting to look good. We see the 50-day curling up. We see our low time frame moving averages also curling up to support that thesis there. Let's take a look at some of the indicators here. So also looking good here. We've got a bullish cross on the vortex with that momentum building. We're also looking like we're going to get that bullish cross on the DMI here. After the dominant bearish trend played out, we came to oversold on the MACD and RSI. So another good thing to see, and we're trending up with higher lows. Same thing on the price action, higher lows as well. But we're coming into resistance, so I'm not really looking to long Bitcoin here or anything like that. You know, wait for the retest, getting in on the higher lows, again looking to capitalize on that. So if you're looking for a more of a short-term swing position, you could look to enter kind of in the low 100,000 region if we retest that. Otherwise, I think we're kind of right closer to resistance, or at least we're just in this no man's land. So not doing anything is also technically taking a position. We have exposure to the markets, so if you're just dying to get exposure to the markets, that's okay. You can look to kind of DCA Bitcoin, but just recognize, you know, we could go up or down. Things change on a kind of change on a dime. Sorry, excuse me. But right now we're looking good. We're getting above these moving averages, but we want to break out of all this resistance up here. We'll take a look also at this liquidation heat map so we can see kind of even more in-depth resistance, liquidity to the upside. So there's actually a good chance we're going to probably take out this upside liquidity first, just because of the price action, because of the way the indicators are looking. We're looking pretty bullish on the near time frame, but we're going to run into resistance right around that 108,000, which we can also see on this chart here has also been a lot of historical resistance, kind of 108 up to about 110,000, as well as our all-time highs. So we want to see potentially this price action continue with higher lows, but we could also come back down, retest a little bit higher of support. We can kind of see this bearish divergence continuing to play out. So that's another thing to pay attention to on the high time frame. We've got these lower highs on the RSI, and we've got the higher highs on the price action. So that's a bearish divergence. It kind of means the momentum of this macro rally is slowing down. I do think this often does come back and retest some sort of support. You know, rarely ever in any of these rallies did it go straight up. Even here we can see for the first rally we came back within that Fibonacci retracement. Same thing here. Even for this little relief rally in through here, we had a a substantial Fibonacci retracement, and pretty much every single macro move came back to that support level at some point. Kind of not as much down here. It did come back right there. So we had that retracement, and then we also had from this move to there, coming back, tagging that Fibonacci retracement as well. And same thing that we saw in through here, 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. And so just look at all of these buying opportunities on the high time frame, guys. Think of this on the grand scheme of things. You know, when you get value like this, you know, 50-60% discounts on an asset like Bitcoin and you believe in it, definitely take advantage of it, because they don't come around all that often. That being said, if we can get in when we get these drops and then take our profits off the table when we are when we're kind of up multiple X's on the position, then we can really compound the returns and really take advantage of the volatility of this asset. So Bitcoin is looking good right now. A lot of capital in it, a lot of companies focusing on Bitcoin right now, acquiring as much as they can. But as always, it's a little bit extended on the higher time frame, but the 4-hour and the 1 day is looking pretty good. So I do think we can continue pushing up here as long as the markets have that relative strength and continue pushing up as well. So the S&P recovering very well, as kind of same thing, a V-shaped recovery. But at the same time, a V-shaped recovery makes me a little bit nervous, because I don't think things go straight up without retesting support. We're always going to have to come back. There's going to be people taking profits off the table. There's going to be news that comes out that affects the markets, and we're going to get more opportunities, whether it's in assets like this or individual stocks. It doesn't matter. That's why we keep our eyes open. But we'll just move on here. Let's take a look at Ethereum, see how Ethereum's doing, kind of in this bullish consolidation, also a bull flag pattern. You know, we did break below it here, but we got back above, so nice to see that on that little Fibonacci retracement again. So we see these Fibonacci levels playing out over and over. Taking a look at the indicators, we can see we've actually got lower lows here on the RSI, and we've got higher lows on the price action. So that is a bullish divergence. So it could tell me that Ethereum is essentially setting up for a macro bullish move if it can really be supported by the rest of the market. I'll show you over here on the ETFs as well. So if we look at the ETH ETF inflows, they've actually upticked a substantial amount here in kind of the past few weeks. So interesting to see. It was a lot of selling through here, and that's where the lows came in. Start to see buyers flip around, probably in anticipation for the ETH ETF staking decisions. I think they're supposed to be made this summer, but I'm not sure on the exact date. I'll get an update for that. But basically what we see, we broke out of this long downtrend here. We were downtrending since December 2024, coming down, broke out, and just consolidating in through here. We got a nice little trend line that also extends back there, so acting as support multiple times. And we can see our indicators are looking a little bit more bearish here on the daily, but we do have that bullish price action. We need to continue to kind of get those higher highs and higher lows. Excuse me. Flip to the 4-hour, see how we look on the slightly lower time frame. So here we have a bit more bullish momentum building. We're still not getting kind of that real strength on the Bitcoin pair. It did get taken down a decent bit here in that correction. A lot of people de-risking in their altcoins in Ethereum. And we kind of see, although the bearish trend is declining, they're kind of converging here. We need to see that blue line start to curl up and break above that orange line to show us that the bullish trend is starting to kind of gain momentum, and hopefully we'll be able to sustain a bit more of a move to the upside. We'll take a look just at the price action here. We can see our moving averages curling up, so we've got the 50-day curling up, and it looks like we're heading for that golden cross. Lots of the times we pump into the golden cross, and then we're going to get a retest of these lower support levels. So that's what we want to pay attention to. We've got a 200-week moving average rate here. If we pull our Fibonacci level, let's say we go into that 200-day moving average, and that's where we find our top. Our Fibonacci level right here is going to line up kind of with this bull flag support. So we can kind of see if we come back, you know, come to anything under $2,500 for Ethereum. You could be looking to buy a little bit of a position here, but again, we're a little bit extended. We're into resistance. I would rather wait for that lower retracement, potentially that 786 Fibonacci, because it's a more volatile asset. So I would say $2,300 for Ethereum would be a decent swing position, but also we could continue breaking down. This is kind of not the most bullish sign here, getting rejected from the underside of the bull flag, but because we're kind of regaining it right now and we're also holding that momentum, as long as the markets can maintain it, I think Ethereum could get a little push up here. But is it worth taking the additional risk over Bitcoin? We're going to flip to ETH Bitcoin here and kind of decide that. So we did come down, you know, tagging that 618 right here. So that kind of would have been the more, the better trade. But also we're kind of in that similar pattern where we're just breaking down. We've broken down from the support of the bull flag. We're retesting it here. If we kind of get rejected right here, we could get knocked back under this macro trend line, and then we might even be due to come back and retest that 786. So if you didn't make any swaps and you're looking to kind of trade Bitcoin for Ethereum to play this pair, then you could look to kind of do that down here. Closer to 0.02 ETH Bitcoin would be a decent target in my opinion. Otherwise, I think, like I said, I don't know if it's worth the additional risk right now. The kind of one thing that could come out is if Ethereum does get that approval to have staking in their ETFs, that's going to drive a lot of initial demand, but it's a volatile asset. Anything can happen before then, and price can certainly bleed back down, maybe retest these lows through here. This was all prior resistance, so that's going to be a major resistance zone again, but hopefully acting as support now. This would be the area I'd be more interested if I was looking to kind of play this pair. Otherwise, you know, putting your money in Bitcoin, it's looking a little bit stronger and it's really capturing the majority of the liquidity in the market right now. That being said, if news comes out about the ETH ETF staking, you know, expect a good pump from there, kind of causing a breakout, but it's hard to really predict news like that. So keep our eyes on the kind of what's going on with the advancements there. We'll kind of look into that in the coming week, but we'll move on. Let's take a look at TOTAL3 here. So kind of this is that similar pattern that I talked about, kind of showed you on Bitcoin there. It's a parallel channel, so we'll take our parallel channel tool and we'll just drag this here. It's not perfect, but just kind of a rough outline. We can see acting as support and resistance. So what we're going to look for is that break of that downtrend. We want to watch for the higher low. And then if you want to wait for more confirmation, wait for subsequent higher highs and higher lows. So always, like I said, if you want to invest on a short time frame, make sure you're looking at the lower time frames. But if you're kind of thinking on a higher time frame scale, if you're thinking of holding it for a majority of months, then definitely look and stick to the daily and the weekly charts. We can see here a lot of the noise just removed here when we look at the daily. We'll move this over here, and then yeah, so all I would do is just wait for us to, you know, start to change that structure. Nothing goes straight up. We're gonna have probably similar price action to what we saw there before we get that breakout move to new highs, if we're going to get it. So we will get those technical signals. We're gonna wait for them. We're not buying things into resistance, and we're waiting for the right setup here. So when we look at the daily, we're still, you know, trending down here against our Bitcoin pair. You know, the dominant trend is bearish here on the vortex indicator as well as the DMI. We're really oversold, but we can trend down in price while being oversold for a decent amount of time. So these are lagging indicators. We're just going to pay attention to when the price action starts to turn around, and then we're going to have our eyes on this, or on more altcoins when that price action turns around and shows us that the trend is likely to go to the upside. So we're going to flip over to others dominance as well. This looks even more bearish to me. We just keep putting in new lows. So this is a falling knife. You can see here lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, just continued lower lows and lower highs. This is just a massive downtrend. We recognize this bearish bearish price action. And this is also why I'm okay with having de-risked my altcoins. I did take profits on a few of the trades, and I took a few losses on a few of the trades as well, kind of getting out of the market. I think overall we were in the green when it came to the alt positions. I'll have to tally the totals after looking at the kind of all the different orders that went through when I got stopped out, because they don't always fill exactly at your stopping price. Sometimes they fill a little bit lower. It depends on the stipulations you made when you set those limit orders. So but I'm okay with it because alts just look like they want to keep bleeding, so it's not worth the risk to me. If you're interested in the crypto market right now, Bitcoin is looking strong. It's still, I think, a little bit extended for my liking in terms of a near-term trade, but if you're thinking, you know, in the terms of months and years, DCAing now is never a bad thing to do. You can always DCA. Just make sure you have extra money to take advantage. You don't want to have the problem of putting your money in and then the market takes a 10-20% drop. Maybe you think about selling, maybe you do, or you just don't have the money to take advantage of those opportunities. So that's why we always look to take our profits off the table, or at least protect our profits, because we can't predict what's going to happen in the world. You know, we can have World War III breakout every other day. No one can predict it. No one can predict what's going to happen in crypto. It's extremely volatile. You're better to preserve that capital, protect it, and then we're going to grow it over the long term. But we can't grow it if we lose it taking risky trades, or if we lose it because we round trip our trades and we're not capitalizing on the volatility. It's really kind of a benefit of these assets, but you need to be smart about it. You need to be strategic, and you need to really follow that strategy, follow that plan, and execute it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. A bit longer of a video, but I just wanted to update you on kind of the broad crypto market, and then we'll get into some more stocks in the SPY tomorrow. And I'll see you guys in the next one.